Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's a WNR541. It's AEW Full Gear 2024. I'm not alone. A pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show is, of course, the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Full Gear. I'm ready for it. Ready for another round of whether or not I managed to win one over on you.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I was going to talk about Thanksgiving, and being kind of, thankful and trying to come up with something to say to each of you that I'm thankful for. But you do make it difficult, Jax, I'm not going to lie. But again, we've got to another Full Gear, so we've done that. That's something to be thankful for.
We haven't killed each other. So that's one thing to be thankful for. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. Happy Thanksgiving, Monty. I know it's not today, but you get my gist.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here talking about AEW Full Gear. They just so happened to time this pay-per-view right after my birthday, so they were very lucky that I wasn't too hungover to even watch this damn show. Yeah, this is my time of year, man. I'm a fall baby, so I'm always in a great mood. So I'm excited to be here and thankful, so to speak, to be here with you guys.
Yeah, well, like I said, Monty, we're thankful to have you on the show and kind of give the American voice, I think, and it's not just that. You give a lot more, but it does help you're American. I'm not going to lie.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, you got to
do something, right? Right.
Take one for the team.
Yeah. I give you more of a worldly point of view, so I'm even though I'm not gonna act like it's the best point of view, but it is American, like you just mentioned. So there you go.
Well, don't. And last but by no means least, well, when I look into your eyes, I can see a love restrained. But darling, when I hold you, don't you know I feel the same? Because nothing lasts forever, and we both know hearts can change. And it's hard to hold a candle in the cold November rain. And say me when the tear, and the fear subside. And there's no one left to blame, 'cause nothing lasts forever, even cold November rain. It's Gina, the Slash to my Axl Rose. How's it going?
I love it. It's all going good, thanks. I'm looking forward to a new AEW review. This is going to be a good show.
What are you thankful for whilst I catch my breath back, Gina? It could be anything. It could be
my
me
G-site.
Here on the show. Oh, okay, it's your G-site.
Yeah, straight up.
Well, anyway, we have... yeah, Ricky Starks, yeah. Well, we've got AEW catch-up, Full Gear review. But first, I did find an interesting story. I like interesting stories. And Kendo Nagasaki has become the second oldest wrestler to ever compete in the ring at the grand old age of 83. Many people might not know him, but he came from All-Star Wrestling and World of Sport back in the days. Was unmasked in 1977, and no, Monty, I wasn't born. But recently had a match at the Croydon Fairfield Halls, where he wrestled, and what was even better than that, he teamed up with Dead Gorgeous, so we say, to take on the trio of D.D. Crooks, Sanjay Baggett, and Stevie Free. But also, he wore a special mask, which was basically celebrating him as an LGBT wrestler. And, of course, there was a rainbow colours on there as well. He is not the oldest wrestler to have a match because, of course, Dory Funk Jr. wrestled a death match earlier this year. And Mae Young is the oldest women's wrestler, of course, at the age of 87. Monty, I'm bringing this up because, again, not many people know, but it's great that someone from the past in wrestling gets their final moment, even if it's the age of, like we said, what was it, 83, I think I said. So it's unbelievable.
I mean, it's not nothing like professional wrestling in that context. If you ask me, man, I'm a fan of a lot of sports, and usually, for example, I've been watching LeBron James my entire life, and he's 40 years old, and everybody's telling him to get his old ass off the court. So just think about this. Think about that. And only in professional wrestling, where we have multiple 80-year-old wrestlers and stuff like that still performing and doing their thing. So it's really unique like wrestling is unique like that as a athletic performance, that we still kind of get these people still going out there putting their bodies on the line. You really gotta love it, in my opinion, because I was watching. I love the Isley Brothers. That's a real old school like R&B soul group, and Ronald Isley is like 73 or whatever, and still performing. And you can just see he probably shouldn't still be performing, but he obviously enjoys performing, and he still sells out and get a good crowd. So hey man, some people are gonna just go out still performing, and when you have the last name Funk, like you mentioned, with Dory Funk performing, we know how that goes. Like, I don't think retirement even exists in their vocabulary. So yeah, man, that's pretty awesome. And then, like you said, to have the rainbow mask and to still be doing it, and then representing something, you're showing your pride. That's pretty cool too, especially when you think about probably when he was younger and just how different the world was at that time. I think that's pretty a nice note about the story too, to even be able to represent yourself fully. In this day and age, was probably something he probably couldn't do when he was younger. So I think it was pretty cool to even think about this. It's a really, really dope story. But professional wrestling is one of those professions that is really unique like that, man. If you can still get up, put your gear on, and move around just enough, especially Japanese wrestlers, man. Yeah, man, the end is never truly there for a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Well, and also it's nice to do, like I said, a nice story. You see, because usually if I said
Right.
Kendo Nagasaki at 83, you would assume he died.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
again, it's
At first,
nice
I thought
to
the
change
was
it up.
going.
Yeah, no, it's a good story. It's nice. Anyway, let's go with AEW. Dynamite notes. November 6th, Bobby Lashley's officially All Elite. Swerve challenged him at Full Gear. I'm ready for that matchup. Mox beat down Orange Cassidy. Adam Cole beat Malachi Black. In a somewhat confusing decision on Black's part, he allowed Cole to hit him with a running knee for the pin and to win, and hugged him afterwards. And then the rumours about, you're leaving. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's like, Jaxie, did you, even what's come out afterwards, it's like, he's not there for long. So kind of was a farewell, even though it was a weird moment.
Who's not there for long?
Malachi Black. Even though he's saying he's staying, with the situation with the Adam Cole thing of kind of basically laying down for him as well, that felt like a farewell.
I mean, I don't believe that. I don't believe that that's a farewell from Malachi Black. But maybe I'm choosing that I don't want to believe that. If I'm honest. So, I hope you're wrong there. I hope I really do.
Well, it wouldn't be Dynamite without attempted murder, and it continued this time with Camille upset, almost running over Statlander. Monet is berating Camille more frequently as well. That week's main event saw Fletcher and Takeshita, the Don Callis family, take on Ricochet and his mystery partner, Powerhouse Hobbs. The faces won, and it was all about Hobbs. Gene, I know you mentioned Ricky Starks, but Powerhouse Hobbs is now back, and it was good to see him.
Yeah, honestly, it felt really nice to see him, and he really felt missed. Once you saw him, I was like, do you know what? I've really missed his presence on the roster. So I'm super excited to see him back.
Yeah, without doubt. We had the tag team thingy with the Outrunners beating Top Flight. On Dynamite, Page and Cage beat Juice and Jay. Statlander put Monet and Camille through a wall. Ospreay and Fletcher was made for Full Gear. Speaking of that, Roderick Strong won 3 matches. His last pinning Lance Archer, and will face MJF at the pay-per-view. Could Adam Cole? He faced Takeshita. In a word, no. Takeshita was shown pulling out MJF's diamond ring, using it to get the pin and the win. Swerve beat Leo Rush. He called out Bobby Lashley after the match. He and MVP showed up, but that left Shelton Benjamin to attack Strickland from behind, and they dismantled him. In the tag team finale, House of Black beat FTR. Monty, it's weird. We've mentioned FTR throughout the years. And it's crazy to think now how long they've kind of been faces or in this gimmick. You know, like, maybe a change is needed for them.
I mean, think about it. I don't think they've been bad guys since the faction of MJF, right, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So, and that was forever ago. You know, MJF has been face and now back a heel since then, and also left the company for a stretch of time since then. So, yeah, you're 100% right. I think. I mean, think about how many times the Bucks, they're kind of like the people you compare them to their counterparts. Think about how many times the Bucks have reinvented themselves. So. I think it's about due. I know FTR is not really a gimmick team. You know, they're straight hard nosed wrestling, come first throwback type of guys. But I think you can see with John Moxley. It's sometimes when you're it's visible and you're as known for being who you are, you have to switch it up, do something different. And I think that, or at least even if it's the same version of yourself but with a different twist. Characters need that, and I think you're 100% right. FTR is definitely one of those teams and one of those gimmicks that I think AEW should probably think about trying to alter certain things, because right now they're just kind of being used as the reliable hands, the people we know can go out there and have a good match with any team we throw them in the ring with, and that's about it. They haven't really evolved much since losing their belts and kind of losing the feud with the Young Bucks. And just again, I'm not saying they're bad or not, like you mentioned, John, not not still valuable, but they're not being utilized in an interesting way to make anybody want to see them do anything different right now. So I don't know. Sooner or later, I do expect maybe a more serious tone to FTR, a heel turn or something at some point to give them refreshing up the formula a little bit, because we talk about it all the time. Everybody needs that sometimes.
Yeah, without a doubt. We saw as well on that Dynamite, Mox taking over the Superstation, but all it was a promo and a fight. On a side note, and Jaxie, I don't know if you think about this, but Harley Cameron has been killing it. You know, I like my women deluded, but we talk about maximising minutes, and that's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah. Again, I think I said this to Gina a few weeks ago, that she's giving me Chelsea Green vibes in terms of she's like doing the maximum she can with the amount of screen time she has. And it's just been she's becoming weekly entertainment that I didn't realize that I was looking forward to seeing. So yeah, she's killing it at the moment. She's making the most of her time, and this is exactly what you got to do, because Tony ain't going to give you any more attention unless you actually maximize what you got, and she's doing exactly that. So
yeah, without a doubt.
She's doing a lot more. She's doing a lot more right now than like the likes of Britt Baker and stuff. Like, where's Britt?
Yeah, no, I
when was the last
agree.
time I have her? So it's kind of like, you know, the fact that like someone like Hardy is actually getting a bit more noticeable. It's like, you know, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but it does leave you with this like I was saying that there's been sort of like a lackluster like promo set for all those that have been returning. Like Britt's return wasn't kind of really quiet. Jamie Hayter's return was also very quiet. You know, right now they're setting seeds for a return with Julia, and I hope that goes a lot better than what these other women have currently had in terms of their returns, because they kind of get faded out right now. So yeah, it's just hardly something refreshing considering we're getting nothing at the moment from Tony.
Yeah. And again, let's talk about Harley. Give her a vicious side and let her see what her ceiling is, you know. Anyway, Jack Perry attacked Eddie Magic. I mean, I didn't think his commentary was that bad. I mean, this being AEW, Jack did try to kill him. And then the faces tried to kill Perry by tying him to the front of the van. I'm not making this up. This actually happened. And the tag team Finny, their claim, beat Roosh and his mate Mrame and Anna Jay had a fun no DQ match. And then the Go Home Dynamite, Don Callis family defeated Ospreay, Ricochet, Davis and Hobbs in a fun opener. The boring Adam Cole promo with Cole, I've got no personality, Riley. Now, Gina, what are your thoughts of Adam Cole? Because I don't think we're going to talk much about him elsewhere, but with the stuff going on with Kyle O'Reilly and all this lot, question is, do we actually care?
The thing is, I do feel slightly biased because I really like Adam Cole. I really like Chugs. I like his character, and I watch him game all the time on Twitch. I think he's an excellent gamer. But I really don't care for this storyline. I'm bored by it. I'm over it. I don't understand some of it either because I don't understand what Kyle O'Reilly's problem is. You've been running around with the Nomads for a while, and now all of a sudden you want to start integrating yourself back into Adam Cole and Roderick Strong's like storyline. Like, I'm bored by it, and I don't want to be because I like Kyle O'Reilly, I like Roderick Strong, I like Adam Cole, but I'm bored by this story. It's either, I don't know what it is. It's either dragged out too much, or because of the injuries and the pulls out time, I've kind of grown past the point of caring about the storyline. But they do need to do something different. Because I'm just hoping that this storyline is gonna end like soon.
Yeah, I mean, with the timing of this feud, it'll probably end at World's End next year. So just hold on tight. You know, we don't know. Chris Statlander beat Shida. She took out Monet afterwards. Joe Keys and the world famous Cheeseburger took on local talent Bobby Lashley. Big Bob looks like he's got a future as he got the win. Spurs music hit, and he popped out from under the ring and attacked Lashley with a chain wrapped around his fist. Monty, just quickly, because we're going to talk about Bobby a little bit more, but I've kind of got over the initial shock of him leaving WWE in AEW now, and he does look fantastic. He just looks like a star, doesn't he? I know I'm going to gush over him, but...
Yeah, but I mean, everybody with eyes and anybody who watch him, not only just in his last run with WWE, but the first one, and then even Impact. I mean, Bobby is who he is at this point. He is a entity and a legend. Really, if you just go off his resume, he already kind of have legendary status. He kind of mentioned that, in the post show for Full Gear, not to kind of go too far ahead, but he mentioned that he's been a champion pretty much everywhere he's been. And I think, AEW is prime for the pick and another place for him to take over and continue to build that resume. And I honestly believe, too, not to say I'm not one of those guys who believe that WWE has a particular look for a star and AEW doesn't, because I do think AEW definitely have their own version of that. But I think Bobby Lashley, at the end of the day, he is no one like him on the AEW roster instantly. Like even if you think of big guys and you got the Brian Cages, or even if you want to go Archer or whoever else you want to throw into these Powerhouse Hobbs, none of these guys look like or feel like what Bobby Lashley is, and he's legit. And we all know he's legit. And I think he's gonna pick up right where he left off in WWE and go even further than he seemed to be going towards that last run of WWE. And I'm with you. It's not really about whether or not do I think it's gonna work or how he fits. I just think as long as Tony continues to give him opportunities and give the Hurt Syndicate good screen time, and don't just get lazy and put them in uninteresting feuds or uninteresting situations. I honestly believe the only way they can ruin this is if they just become negligent. But when you let when you let people like MVP, when you let Bobby Lashley, you let Shelton Benjamin tell stories with proper talent, he's gonna shine. And AEW, in my opinion, has a superstar in their midst that can blend right in with the Moxleys, the Omegas, and the top tier of their company, Hangman, people like that. So I'm excited for what else he could do, and this is only the beginning, which is, like you said, that he fits so well. It's kind of crazy to think that we're only just getting started.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think, actually, he did do Impact, so again, it's not that much, but a surprise. But he's just fucking massive as well. Like, he's a mountain of a man. Anyway, enough about that. Claudio might be morphing into Gunther as he beat Darby Allin. A video played of Garcia and Daddy Magic holding Jack Perry hostage, eventually leaving him tied up by himself. The week's main event was a match between former friends, with Cassidy taking on Wheeler Yuta. This ended with OC getting out of the way of Yuta and rolling him up for the pin. Death Riders came down, a lot of shit went on, duct tape his hands and all this kind of stuff. I mean, Jaxie, what are your thoughts at this moment in time, before we got to the pay-per-view, of the kind of Death Riders antics? Because they're just going around, beating the shit people, you know what I mean? Duct tape and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this gives me kind of Attitude Era vibes, like kind of how like it was always sort of like Raw versus SmackDown, and sometimes there would be invasions from ECW and things like that. Like that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from the Death Riders. Um, I've got to wonder when everyone's going to kind of like we've seen them slowly but surely congregating together, but we haven't seen it like fully a fully united locker room at this moment in time looking to like make a stand. So I wonder like how long this is it's gonna be. We recently have actually seen, finally we're getting another woman in the mix, having Willow come out and just actually face off and join in the fray against Marina. That gave it a little bit of like freshness that I got excited at seeing that part. So there's parts where I'm kind of like, okay, maybe we're going to see a united front at some point. But it's hard to tell at this point, because right now it definitely feels like the EVPs have really kind of lost control of like what they thought they were taking over from Kenny Omega, and it's like, is this part of the storyline, or is Tony kind of just going off on a limb here and just being like, just you guys go and do whatever you want to, at this moment in time, it's hard to tell like what direction things are going to go for everything to do with the Death Riders. But yeah, it could go either way, I think, at this point still. But it is exciting, because you kind of think like, what team ups are we going to get that we didn't even know that we needed? So we'll see with future ones to come,
Yeah, without a doubt. So let's get to it then. Full Gear, November 23rd, 0 hour. Paul Hauser, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, really. He joined Renee, RJ, and Double J on the panel. It was still 90 minutes, so it's not a 0 fucking hour. Anna Jay versus Deanna Pratt. First match in front of a near-empty crowd. What's new? No. Still, they made the most of the situation, delivering a solid matchup. Jay overcame a shoulder injury, escaped the grasp of Pratso's Fujiwara armbar, rolled her up for a pinfall victory. Jaxie, I'll start with you as well. What were your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I like the match itself. It was good. It was just kind of one that could easily have been on like either a Rampage or a Collision. I just, again, it just takes you back to the question of like, what is Tony doing with this roster of women? Like, I just feel like this is like a lot of this talent really is just kind of going to waste a little bit. So can you answer me this, actually? Because I think you probably know this better than I. Did Deanna and Taya Valkyrie like used to be a team before AEW?
Not really. They're more rivals in Impact. And like I said,
Right.
Deanna would still be Impact champion if she was there. But, I mean, both former knockout champions, but I think guilty through association.
Yeah. Like, do you know what? I wanted like this team up of them being heels, but I just don't feel like they're like anything like promotion wise, like has worked. And I like their characters actually. But I don't feel like they like. I feel like I'm a little bit disappointed that like Gianna isn't bigger than like what she is, if that makes sense. So it just, and that's not to say anything bad about Anna. I'm just saying, like, look how long the likes of like Diana has been on the roster, and I feel like this match really kind of showcased how underutilized a lot of the AEW women's talent is being used right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Monty, I mean, thoughts or score, either or?
I mean, I'll give it a 3. I don't think it was bad. I saw some people saying it wasn't bad, but it wasn't even long enough, in my opinion, to kind of say bad. I mean, it was a little bit over 5. I guess about 6 minutes. I guess I would say, I don't know exactly the time, but It wasn't even that long, man. It was okay. It was solid. I thought they maybe would build into something pretty good, but then you got the finish, and I get it. We're trying to build Anna Jay up. I guess in a sense, at the same time, I thought the entire point of putting Taya and Deanna together would be trying to build something for not just Deanna, but both of them, to be honest, because Deanna's been there almost a year now, and like Jackson just pointed out, I mean, she hasn't really achieved much. Pretty much post her initial title run, push and feud against Tony, and pretty much since then, she's immediately been relegated to, every now and then being on Collision, every now and then, doing good. She did good stuff with Thunder Rosa, I remember, but other than that, she just haven't really done much. And Taya Valkyrie, pretty much since she showed up in AEW after her NXT run, and I think she went back to Impact for a minute before that, but I don't know, before she went to AEW. Either way, go. Pretty much since she's been to AEW, she's kind of been on the back burner and not really taken seriously as a threat, especially if you compare, like you mentioned, James, what they both were in Impact. I mean, these are championship level talent, especially Deanna in the ring and what she's able to do. It's kind of, like you mentioned, frustrated to kind of see her basically be if not in the same spot, maybe even a lower stock than she was when she debuted. And same thing goes for Taya. So I do think that kind of sucked, even though I kind of figured Anna Jay would be the person who would be the focus that you're trying to get over here. But it do kind of suck that Taya and Deanna and their new alliance don't seem to be resulting in victory or more of a prominent spotlight, because this is the danger you run. I mean, I know for a fact most people watch Dynamite if they're watching AEW. They don't necessarily, not saying people don't watch Collision too, because they will, but if you go in the order of things, it's Dynamite, then you got some people who are going to check out Collision when they get a chance, and then the real hardcore people are going to try to watch all three and watch Rampage. Well, when you build a faction or a team up through mostly Rampage or every now and then Collision appearances, and they don't really get much Dynamite spotlight, you get matches like this where it don't really matter what happens. It's just a match. So a good win for Anna Jay, but again, like I mentioned, I don't think anything advanced here other than Anna Jay got another victory to maybe push her towards something in the future. But do we even see that? Do we see a title in Anna Jay's future anytime soon? I can't say soon, but maybe down the line. So I give it 3 stars, but again, like Jackson mentioned, I don't know if in some places the women's division is still damn good, and you can tell when some people involved that you're probably going to get something good. But also in other places, I don't think Tony whoever is over the entire division is giving everyone the same amount of opportunity.
Yeah, and I think, Gina, if we talk about that point, but also the fact of, when the match took place, like 10 or 15 minutes into the countdown, which is probably like, an hour and 20 for the pay-per-view actually starts, it kind of shows you what he thinks of the division, or, especially with these women at that point, it's hard not to,
Yeah, definitely. And I don't even think it's more of a case of, they're women, so let's put them at the forefront at the beginning where next to nobody is going to be here because they're still arriving. It's more a case of there was no storyline really built up for this match, so it's not like anyone was really eager to see the outcome of this match because no storyline was really built. It was like Monty just explained, it was just a match for the sake of being a match rather than it having a storyline fully invested and built over the past few weeks. So again, I kind of mimic what Monty just said. I give it a 3 stars. I like both wrestlers. Well done to Anna Jay on getting that win. But it is kind of disappointing because it's like, if you're going to do matches like this on 0 hour or whatever your pre-show is called, because it shouldn't be 0 hour.
No.
It should you've got plenty of weeks to try and build up even just the littlest of storyline between the two to actually make people want to be so invested in the show they are going to be tuning in straight away. But when people thought about this match, they were just like, oh, it's okay, we can afford to miss that match if we're going to be a bit late or late tuning in, because no storyline was really built for it. So yeah, 3 stars from me.
And it's an excellent point as well, because the thing is, it's not like they don't know they've got these matches on 0 Hour to build up between pay-per-views. So there's no, it's not like Tony goes and goes,
they
shit,
have
4.
some semblance. Yeah, they have some semblance of what their match card is going to be, and if they do think, right, we need to chuck some matches on 0 Hour, so let's just have, Deonna pour a drink over Anna backstage and start a feud between them two. It can be just something small and little, even like that, but at least, there was something that was slightly built and put into place, like that actually made you want to be a little bit invested. You got a couple weeks.
Yeah, without a doubt. Jaxie, what was your score?
Sorry, I thought I gave it as a 3 as well.
3 as well. Prediction to the WNR Prediction League 2024 after Crown Jewel, before Full Gear. The bonus league is fucking done. Monty on 24, me and Gina on 15 because I did win NXT. Jaxie on 11. WWE, Monty on 6, I'm on 5. Gina's on 4, Jaxie's on 2. So that will come to an end next week. And AEW, Jaxie on 4, James and Monty on 3, Gina on 2. All went Anna here, so all on 1. Lexus Nair interviewed QT. And then we see Dante Marte versus Commando, Buddy Matthews and Beast Mortis. There was a lot going on, so I won't highlight it. Matthews fed off the fans' energy and down Martin scored a victory. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
Let's see. I mean, like you mentioned, it was a lot of action. It was a sprint, I guess you can kind of say, would be the best way to kind of describe this. It was exciting, and I will at least say that I definitely was excited. It was a really good pre-show. I think it was, although I can say it's pretty much the same scenario as the first match when it comes to like an actual angle here. The wrestling was so good, or at least the speed in which they put everything together, in my opinion, really made this worthwhile. I think it did a good job of waking the people who were there up. And, I just think this was really, really good. I mean, Mortos impresses me for the most part, usually anytime I see him. And I think this was another decent performance for him. And we know we know what Commander brings, Dante Martin, we know what he brings, and Buddy Matthews has probably one of the most underrated talents in the world and has been for a long time now, to be honest. So it was good. It was, you kind of wish that you actually had some stakes or something attached to it to kind of make it even better, but for a pre-show match and just for getting the crowd going, it over excelled in that job, in my opinion. I gave it 3 3/4. It was really good, and I was happy for Buddy to it's good. Whenever I look at these matches and a house of black members in a match that for the most part I expect a good match, but I also almost expect them to lose because they rarely get the big win. So it's good to see Buddy at least get a win.
Yeah, without doubt. And I think the thing is as well, and Gina Monty mentioned it, was the fact of how kind of good Buddy Matthews is, and we don't get to see that enough. And again, it's another 4 wrestlers that just kind of, if it was like, a fish tank, it's just these guys just floating around waiting for something to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Buddy Matthews is highly underrated. Every time he's used, he's just loved. I think all the House of Black members are so individually great in their own way, and they just people forget about them because they're not really utilized to the maximum that you can use them. And it's the same for the other 3 that were in this match as well. Like, I've grown quite fond of the Beast Mortos. So, again, it's kind of sad when you just see him in some random match on Collision with no storyline behind it, because I know that like the Beast Mortos is really great and he's wowed me every time I've seen him. So it's hard because there's nothing for them to do really but just get put into these random matches.
Yeah. What would you score it?
I'll give it a 4. That was all right. Yeah.
4. Yeah, Beast Mortis always reminds me of someone. I don't know who. Jaxie, what's your score?
Yeah, really enjoyed this match too. I have to agree. There's like so much talent and potential in like all of the men involved in this match. Like I have to give props to even Dante Martin, who had kind of originally came in very much as a tag team in Top Flight, very much like had to go independent for a while. And still looks just as great alongside the likes of like Buddy and the Beast Mortars. Overall, I think I gave this a 4. I thought it was just really good. I actually forgot, like I was going to say Commander as well, and then forgot him off. But yeah, he did also just as well. I think all four worked so well together. So yeah, 4 altogether.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3 3/4 predictions. We went Matthews, we're all on 2. And up next with Big Justice at ringside, Lee Rizzler as the special timekeeper, and Paul White on commentary. The Costco guys, Big Boom, AJ defeated QT Marshall.
Do me a favor. If it's not you, can you ask Monty to explain who the little kid is that was ringing the bell, scratching his chins all the time? Like, he was really irritating. Explain to me who the fuck that is. And explain to me...
yeah.
You explain
everything to us. Go on, Monty, because I actually know the answer, what he's going to say. Go on, Monty.
Yeah? I have no idea who these people are.
I have no clue. He's a meme. He's a meme. That's all I got. I've seen the meme of him scratching his face or whatever it is. I have no clue. I don't care. I did. The only thing I say about this, and this is really my whole review of the match, I hope the views from his followers were worth it, because I could care less, to be honest, about all of these. I don't know the memes. I don't know the little boy. I don't know where he comes from. I don't know who his daddy is. I don't know nothing, man. James, educate me.
Dad was the one in the ring, right? And then his dad came out with the son. So I was like, so they're not brothers, because they don't look like brothers at all. So I was like, so
friends, I think.
Why is he connected to those two? I'm like, why always QT get put in these situations, man? Fuck it out. I'm sorry, QT. You take it like a champ.
I mean, you guys are just not with it, you know. You guys aren't on TikTok. Oh yeah, you know, you haven't got the Riz. You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't got a clue. Like, these two guys here are. Let me just. I'm not googling it. They're American social media personalities from Florida. They found popularity on YouTube for the videos at the warehouse store Costco. Yeah, they gained more than 2 million followers on TikTok. That's just a little bit less than what we got. Just a little bit. No, again, I don't know. But Gina, I'll ask you this. Take everything.
Doing what in Costco? What were they doing in Costco?
I don't know. Like, go boom. It just says that on Wiki. Don't ever go at me. Have a go at Google.
They were probably buying cookies.
Yes, cookies. Chocolate chip cookies. They like that.
Of
yes.
Course.
That was a boom.
I mean,
yes.
Okay.
Well, anyway, Gina, let's take everything away, all the negative energy. We just talk about the matchup, because it actually wasn't too bad.
I mean, yeah, sure. But to be honest, I really didn't care. This was my bathroom break match. I really didn't care for this. I think I would have been more invested. I think I would have been more invested if they were having a cookie versus apple match, and they both sit there eating as many cookies and apples, and whichever one ate the most won. I'd
have you been watching Greater Khan's KOPW reign? Because he's been doing eating contests as well, so that's saying...
I'd rather watch it.
Yeah,
I really would actually rather watch that too. Can we watch that instead and review that?
Entertaining.
All right, so yeah, I mean, the only question is, does this mean we get QTV back? I don't know if that's the agreement. You know.
Oh no.
No, I'm not sure. So we'll do scores for this. I haven't got my hopes high. Gina, start us off out of 5.
2.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm giving it a 2 as well. I really could have cared less for this match, and I don't remember it enough to even actually tell you whether or not it was decent or not.
Well, the crowd was lit. There's no doubt about that. As the kids say. Monty?
2.5. Because then you say they got like 2.5 million people on their social medias. Because that's pretty much the only people who gave a damn about this.
Yeah, but again, it's something that I've had to go AEW about. So it's nice that they've gone, do you know what? Fuck the most of the people watching. We're going to bring this guy in from TikTok and bring outside views and, you know what I mean?
I get that. I just hope that he sends that message to his fans and to all these people who try to keep the tagline about this being one of the best wrestler, and this is a wrestling company, not an entertainment company, because to me, that was very much in the line with a lot of the entertainment stuff we've come to know WWE for. You can't tell me if WWE did this, you wouldn't be surprised. The same people who would hate on WWE for this loved it in AEW. But I love it because I do like exposure for them. Hated the match, could not care less about it, but good exposure.
It would be sponsored by Costco. It'd have a big, you know what I mean, around the ring and stuff.
Yeah,
like
it would have a big, exactly, a Costco around the ring, exactly. But whatever.
I'm gonna give it
good for them.
Give it 3. I'll give it 3. I didn't mind it, you know. And that's the crowd. We might not know as a quartet have a clue who these guys are, but there was some in that crowd that did. So you know, that's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, prediction-wise, we all went boom, so we're all on 3. Monet called Camille stupid, which nearly got a reaction, and Monet told her to watch from the back later. And then I've seen the November Rain video too. I've seen it too many times because I've started singing along. No one wants that. House of Black were played to the ring by a very angry band as we got to the main show with Private Party defending the tag team titles against the Acclaimed, the Outrunners, and the Kings of the Black Throne. Quinn and Cassidy retained the gold in an action-packed opener. Highlighted Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum of the Outrunners, put over the ferocity of Black and King, and further the issues between Bowens and Caster. First misstep was Cass taking too much time to pose for the crowd and missing a tag from Bowens. The second happened when he tagged himself in when Bowens was the illegal man. It really led to this weird moment when Bowens tried to pin him. Third misstep occurred when he tagged himself right before Bowens was about to get the pin. And the fourth and final nail in the coffin was Caster was pinned by Private Party. Billy Gunn looked heartbroken to see his family falling apart at the seams. Jaxie, I think that's what the story of the matchup was. Was that be fair to say?
Yeah, there was a major focus on like everything that Max was doing in the ring, and every decision that he was making was just the wrong one. Like he's got this attitude now where he just does not give a fuck about being part of a team. Even his opening rap was talking about being the best wrestler alive instead of everyone loves the Acclaimed. You know, like that's their motto, their tagline, and it just seems like he's so far removed from that. You know, he's got these. You can call them selfish thoughts. I would say, you know, like he's been part of this tag team for so long, and it seems to me like he's going about the wrong way of trying to gain his independence and maybe like make it as a singles wrestler. He's just kind of acting like very much like a spoiled brat, like throughout the whole of it, like even just coming out with the raps that he's doing and just kind of taking Anthony Bowens by surprise. It's not exactly like Anthony's done anything to him, so he's just coming across as kind of like a child that's having a temper tantrum because he's not where he wants to be and just handling it in the wrong way. And I think that this match really like showcased that. So I'm happy for Private Party in retaining. You know, predictions wise, I'm happy, obviously, but would I have liked to have seen Malachi Black and Brody pick it up? Yes. Like, why? Do you know what? Just shove the trios belts back on House of Black for me, please.
Yeah, but it's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying to you earlier. I don't think they are. It doesn't feel like they want to do anything with them. Like I said, they're right there. Do you know what I mean?
But it's like, you know, first of all, you could actually have a really good promo of like a House of Black, like the Kings of the Black Throne, like literally just having enough of the Death Rider shit and being like, we're going to deal with you. You know, like there's so much like rich storyline that you can get from that. You know, the one-on-one matches between all of the both groups, everything. But it's like there's so much talent with the House of Black. And whenever I noticed, whenever they tagged themselves into that match, they were getting such a big pop. And that is because everyone loves them, apart from Tony, apparently. Because Tony just don't care to utilize the popularity they still have. And their biggest, like, height of popularity was when they were the trios belts. So actually do something with them and actually start pitting them against the Death Riders, because they actually would have some really great matches in there as it is.
Yeah, I think without doubt. No, it's brilliant. Monty, I want to ask you a question, because I know we have a lot of fun in games, but what are your thoughts on the Outrunners? Because with the way this match was going around, I know Private Party's first defence, but Outrunners are kind of the face of the division at the moment, shall I say?
Yeah, I mean, they're popular, and I get it. I'm not, at first I didn't get it, but instead of trying to think too hard about trying to understand why, you just watch and let it go. And I get what's going on. I'm not really, and I think I'm not trying to say the Outrunners aren't good or worthy. I just believe some of their popularity it can be attributed to the lack of variety and just the staleness of most of the teams in the tag division. We talked about FTR kind of been doing the same thing for a long time. The Acclaim are have been the same for a long time until Max's new attitude. But that's kind of the whole point of why they're probably not going to be together much longer. I mean, we had the Bucks on top of the division, but mostly because they are the most trusted and they were the only ones kind of switching up their characters. So and I didn't even mention a lot of other teams, but for the most part, we mentioned one of the biggest weak points of AEW. And I think this match in a lot of ways kind of showcased why their tag division is just kind of lacking something. I mean, this match, as good as it was or as decent as I think it ended up being, and I do like the story of the Acclaim and the miscommunication. I also believe that this match was also just a heatless kind of like fatal four-way tag. It's not like four tag teams that you really believe have a storyline chance of actually becoming the champions, other than the fact that we think you can do it because we know you can wrestle. Like, it's good, as popular as the Outrunners are. I don't think anyone thinks that the time is now for them. And we mentioned the House of Black, we mentioned the Acclaim, and it just, you kind of, when you think of all of these teams, the Outrunners, in my opinion, kind of benefit, in my opinion, from the fact that they are fresh, they're doing something different, and it's kind of like I don't want to say it's a parody of throwback teams back in the day, but it's completely unique, or at least a fresh twist on it. And I think that's what kind of benefits the vignettes and all of that, and the way they do promos, all that stuff kind of gets even more boosted and people take more note of it because of just how uninspired everything else in the tag division, in my opinion, seem to be right now. And that's not taken away from them. I think the Outrunners definitely, at the end of the day, you have to go out there and show and be entertaining for everybody out there. And they're doing that, and I respect it. But I just think at the same time, I don't know if they're this popular if the tag division was as good as it was maybe a few years ago, and AEW had a really strong tag division, and they were focusing on that tag division in multiple ways. So I don't know. That's just my point of view. I think they're good. The crowd loves them, and at the end of the day, if you get the reaction they get and the way people talk about them online, who am I to say that you're not deserving of your spot? But I do believe that a lot of that has to do with the fact that the tag division is just not really interesting for the most part, other than Private Party. And, finally overcoming the years of also being a forgotten and tag team in a sense. So the tag division just can't be just not consistent. I think this match is a great microcosm of that, because it wasn't really a consistent type match to me. It was good, but I think overall the story, like you mentioned, is mostly about the Acclaimed and then the tag champions overcoming. That's pretty much it. I didn't think it was bad, but again, I'm not a fan of let's throw four teams out there and just duke it out for the tag title with no build, and if it is a build, it is the champions are fighting champions, and we'll just put teams in front of them. Okay.
they did have a tag team thingy. You know, let's not forget that.
Yeah, you talking about the promo thing? But again, it's like, okay, like that. It was fine.
Like mini qualifiers or something like that. But again, my issue is like it's a Johnny Swinger gimmick. So I'm just like, I've seen that before, but again, I just need maybe get to know him a little bit more.
But what I'm saying though, James, even if you've seen it before, it's way fresher than what FTR, what they're claiming, what some of these other people are doing. You know what I mean? And then, like you mentioned, we love House of Black, but we don't think Tony's gonna give them anything. And maybe I'm just wrong because I'm comparing this angle right here to what we just saw from Private Party in the books. And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, actually give me a reason to think even though it was a fatal four-way, nobody, in my opinion, thought that the Private Party was going to lose this match. And I think that's not the best way to do a multi-man match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And Gino, as Monty did say, this tag team match was more about, like I said, the Acclaimed. And again, we've mentioned this so many times, to see a mix-up. And even if it doesn't work out for, like I said, Caster and Bowens, they can always come back together within a year and the fans will forget it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things. The fact that they were a solidified tag team for years beforehand, it will help to bring them back together eventually in like a year or so. But I think, like you just said, the main purpose of this match was to focus on the Acclaimed and where they're going. The others were kind of just fillers. I know that sounds sad, but they were, in a way. They're just fillers to kind of help tell this storyline across, I guess. But that was the main focus. I enjoyed it, but again, as everyone's just said about this match, there were like the tag team division just feels completely different to how it felt a couple of years ago, and the excitement that was there a few years ago, it just is lacking at the moment. So yeah, I completely agree with Monty there.
Yeah. So Jaxie, what do you score that out of 5?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same really. I don't really have much to add. I'll score it like three and a half.
Monty?
I give it a 3.
Yeah, fair enough. And Gina?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 3.
3. Predictions all went private party, so all on 4. Lexi there interviewed Orange Cassidy. He said he sends his message tonight. Well, he better do. If it's tomorrow, no point. Roderick Strong versus MJF next. And MJF earned the win with a salt of the earth armbar, tapping Strong out. And had their steel chair attack for good measure. Adam Cole, the Undisputed Kingdom, made the save. Finally enough after MJF did most of his damage. And O'Reilly aggressively confronted his former friend and tag partner to close things out, continuing their blossoming story. Monty, as we mentioned earlier, Adam Cole, this story just will not die. I know you were a big fan of it in the last year. But what are your thoughts on this? Because isn't it weird that of all the Undisputed Era, that it's Roderick Strong who's been the most consistent?
Yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. I think when you think of the Undisputed Era coming to AEW, and I know injury got a lot to do with that, even from a Kyle O'Reilly perspective, but Adam Cole, when you think about it, you would not expect Roderick Strong to be the one who kind of has shined the most under this banner. But to be fair to Roderick Strong, back in the days in Ring of Honor, he is probably one of the greatest Ring of Honor wrestlers of all time if you just go off his resume. So when I think about the similarities to me that AEW have with that old school TV style of Ring of Honor, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that he's doing well. And this was okay. I don't know what it was about this match. Like you mentioned, John, I don't know if it's because this storyline is so long-standing and we all know that this is kind of a appetizer for the eventual blow-off of what we're going to get between Max and Adam Cole at some point. But it just, this one, I'm not going to say it was bad. To me, it wasn't the most interesting match. It was decent. I like how Roddy wrestles, as always. He's always a good wrestler, and he sold the arm and all of that pretty good. But to be honest, I mean, Max, in my opinion, has regressed a lot. And it's kind of funny to me that I think you can kind of look back, not so much in the ring, but I feel like as a character, when you think about pretty much since the Devil story kind of began and it's been unveiled, Max has just taken steps back to me, at least from a creative standpoint of where his character can be. I mean, he's already kind of back feeling like the better than you version of himself. But again, we've seen that now. So it's like, okay, what can he do to me, at least from my perspective, what can Max do, in my opinion, to kind of keep me invested? Because I almost expect certain things. You expect him to win most of his matches, but can he do it? And then can the story be interesting enough to keep me invested in what they have going? And I didn't think this was there, but I do think that eventually, whenever we can finally get the Adam Cole Max match and they can do it, and they don't continue to put it off or continue to elongate, because the scary thing about this is, James, since we done flipped from Max being the face to Adam being the face, now it's like, are we gonna get that Adam Cole match with Max and then that's it? Or are we gonna try to stretch this out and we get 3 more matches, like, another blood feud? And it's just like, bro, you guys started this feud in 2023, and we could be going in 2025, and they still might not be done with it. And it hasn't been the most interesting thing so far. So that's the thing I kind of worry about. But I don't think this was bad. I just thought it was kind of like run of the mill. I didn't think it was pay-per-view special or anything, but it was good. So I gave it 3.5. I thought I was entertained, but again, I just have so many questions about where we could be going, and with this, and then like where Kyle O'Reilly fits. It's just so weird, in my opinion, where we are with all of those guys, because, like you mentioned, James, we spent a lot of time with this undisputed, kingdom type thing that they had going, and I know injuries kind of made everything weird, but it's no excuse, in my opinion, to where how disjointed everything feels. Because if you're gonna do a long feud or a long blow off storyline like that, I would like to think we had a plan, and I don't think one injury could derail everything for multiple guys. But that's what it feels like happened so far.
Yeah, and like you said, when did Matt Taven and like Mike Bennington is just goons, or just, you know what I mean? Just people that just follow, like,
exactly,
shit,
they're
legit
guys. Right.
But it's interesting to say, and Gina, I will say this: Tony Khan always spends money on MJF. You know, will it be the entrance or anything like that? You know, but as Monty said, the Hill Run feels a bit pointless. I mean, does he even care about being AEW World Champion? Because that was the whole thing that set him off last time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just Tony's just scared and terrified of losing MJF, so he'll just approve anything. You know, MJF will literally just give him the most ridiculous scenario and say, I'm going to do this. And he's like, yeah, okay, go for it. Do it. You know, that's how I see it anyway. But yeah, again, you do question, like, what is your motivation at the moment, Max? Because like you said, last time it was all about the belt. Now I can't even tell you what his motivation is and why he is a heel. And yeah, it's a bit confusing for sure.
Yeah. What would you score the match?
3.5.
I'll give it 3.5. Yeah. No. Jaxie, scores. I mean, again, we mentioned pretty much everything here. I mean, do you care about this story? You might be the only one.
No, do you know what? You brought up just very lastly with Monty before moving on to speaking with G about Matt Taven and sorry, what was the other one?
Mike Bennett, I forgot that name as well.
Right. I genuinely, throughout the rest of the whole this match, was thinking to myself, like, how little they've really, like, been made or featured to be, like, a distinctive part of this United Kingdom, you know? And it's a bit of a shame to see, because I think when they first came in, they were, like, looking to try and make an impact. And I think that they've been kind of forgotten about completely. I also kind of feel like this is a Big Show, Charlotte Flair sort of situation, like which one's the heel and which one's the face in like Adam Cole and MJF's feud. As Monty touched on, like this started ages ago, and they've both chopped and changed on who's the face and who's the heel in this situation. So it's not that like it is that I don't care, but it's because of the storyline. It's actually made me not care. because I'm like, I don't know who to feel sorry for in this situation anymore, apart from Roderick Strong. You know, that's where my sympathy is. I don't know what to make of it. I hope that what Monty said doesn't come true, and that is like a series of 3 matches or so that we're going to get. I hope it's just going to kind of be a one and done. Let's wrap this story up, and you both can actually find motivation elsewhere, because I feel like they're just trying to tie up loose ends with this, and I think that's why it's not resonating, because this should have been tied up from way back when, you know. Altogether, I'm going to give this a 3 3/4, mainly because I think that, like, as you said, Roderick Strong has just really, like, worked his butt off with everything that he's been given so far, you know. And yeah, it was a good match for him, and showcased, like, what he really is like in the ring, against someone like MJF. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, I completely agree with you there. 3 3/4 for me as well. And like I said, Roderick Strong's been proving me wrong since matches versus Bobby Roode on takeovers. That's how long he's been doing that. Predictions, we all went MJF, so we're all on 5. TBS Championship match, Chris Statlander versus Mercedes Moné. And they had the best match to the point in the show, with the CEO narrowly escaping a fizzle battle with a total reign intact. We saw the champion repeatedly resentfully attack Statlander's knee, working it over and keeping the injury fresh in fans' minds, and would play heavily on the finish. I mean, even though the injury, she showed great resilience, frustrating Moné repeatedly. She kicked out of everything the champion threw at her. Statlander hoisted Moné for a tombstone, but alert CEO pounded away at the knee, even bit the leg of the opponent, allowing her to get the pin. Gina, what are your thoughts on this? Because maybe it was right to switch Chris back face. That's all I'm going to say. I moaned about it. I won't anymore.
Yeah, no. Do you know what? This match, it was really good in my opinion, and also annoying, because I was talking with Jax throughout the match, because I said, you know, this match, Chris is making Mercedes look great, and Mercedes was making Chris look great, and I said, you know, not to bash on her, but if you shoot back to, like, the match between Britt and Mercedes, it just felt so lackluster. It felt like sort of a newbie type match, you know. And I don't know where that comes from, whether that was just on Britt, but either way, Chris and Mercedes worked well with each other. I really enjoyed the match. I do prefer Chris as a face. I thought she was funny as a heel. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I disliked it, but I do prefer her as a face. And I think it works better in her favor anyway. I think the crowd loved Chris. And yeah, I do believe that everyone's just happy to forget about her heel side and just continue to support her.
Yeah, but I think you're right there, you know, and you say that the fans love her. And Jaxie, as we talked about Moné, she can deliver in the ring, but it's down to the fans to accept her like they've accepted Chris, because Moné can deliver, and we saw it here at Full Gear.
You know, like, I believe it or not, this is not throwing any shade towards any of the previous opponents so far, but this was like the best that Mercedes has looked at in a title defense match so far, where you know, you actually enjoyed it. I think that Chris and Mercedes worked really well together, and they both made each other look really good. And this was like sort of like the first time where it was kind of like seeing sort of WWE Sasha Banks type of, like, you know, passion for the ring again type Mercedes. That's the sort of vibe I was getting within this match. So, you know, with any luck, like, you know, things will pick up as well. Because without meaning to sound too harsh on Mercedes, like, I feel like this title run so far has not been, like, you know, the strongest or most entertaining. But this match certainly, like, you know, has put her in the step of the right direction of where they need to keep going with her and stuff. I thought this was a great match for them both. I don't think that this made Chris look weak at all. She put on a really great match, and yeah, I gave this a 4.
A 4 for you there. Yeah, no, like I said, really, really good stuff, and it's weird, isn't it, that we talk about kind of how talented both women are. And Monty, as you mentioned as well, 2 talented women with a bit of build, and they deliver. What a surprise!
Yeah, man, it's funny how that works out, man. When you just give like you said, give a bill, put 2 of the best in the ring, and just give them time. and it's funny that they can, be one of the highlights of the entire show. And I mean, we know what Mercedes can do. Her track record speaks for itself, but she has been getting criticism, whether I thought that was fair to her, because I don't necessarily think any of the disjointedness that we've seen from her matches were all on her. I do think some of the stories and some of the way she's been depicted has not been perfect, but I don't know if that's all her fault. And but I do think when you put her in the ring with the right people and you give her a talent like a Chris Statlander to work with, you get stuff like this. And I think their chemistry really shone through brightly in this match. And also, I think this is one of those situations. I think Mercedes is innovative, and she tries things. And sometimes when you try things and you try them with people who you may not have the best chemistry with, or you've never really worked with them, it don't always look right. It don't always look the best. But when you get someone in there that again, who can also be innovative and also be creative, I think that kind of worked in their favor in this match for Statlander and her. And I think they just hit everything perfectly. Everything was kind of hitting on cylinders. And then we also had the narrative coming into this. Now, James, you said something about the heel, about not complaining about it, and I think the thing is about the turn is about how it was executed. Like at the end of the day, you can do something. I think we all agree that Statlander is popular because even as a heel, we all love and support Statlander. She's earned that. But I believe when you have someone who won a big heel feud and basically the only thing she did as a heel was feud with one person, and then we immediately flip it over without a big explanation other than I'm done with that. I'm going after TBS title now, and then that's it. You're going to get criticized, and we're going to be looking at you like, what the hell are you doing, Tony? Like, at least make it make sense or give us a reason. But I think, again, the fact that this worked out is a testament to the talent, to the fact that Chris is one of the best women in the world at this. And we all know, again, like what Mercedes can do. And I just think this is beautiful. And I think they only scratched the surface of how good this feud can even get. I think they can do more. And but this is great. I gave it 4.5. I really was into it. I think they really did a good job. And then the storytelling with the leg, like it wasn't just good moves and great execution from both sides. It was also good storytelling. And I think whenever you see that, we all should kind of take note and and celebrate it because it was great. I saw some people saying this is like the greatest women's match they've seen in AEW, and I'm just like, I mean, maybe straight up 1-on-1, sure, but you can't forget Lights Out with Britt and Thunder Rosa, and you can't throw away just earlier this year, in my opinion, what Willow and Statlander did in their kind of no holds barred type of match. Now I get it, maybe if we're just talking about 1-on-1 in the ring, this probably is one of the best wrestle matches they've had for women in AEW. But I think at the end of the day, this is this can get you this can give you optimism going forward for the women's division. My problem will always be with Tony is, are you going to give other women and the rest of the card, the Jamie Haters and some of these other, we haven't seen Britt in forever, other people, Thunder Rosa also can be more prominent. Are you going to give other women the time, the storyline, and all that we know is mandated from Mercedes? Because that's pretty much the only thing I feel like is really halting AEW's women's division from taking their next step. But yeah, Statlander, Willow Nightingale, people like that, they're in that top tier on AEW's roster for the women for a reason, and this match is a great example of why.
Yeah, really good stuff all around. Gina, what would you score it?
I give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions all went Monet, so all on 6, as we got Switchblade Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page. And Switchblade Jay White improved his record against Page to 5 wins, counting an ankle lock from the former world champion into a Blade Runner for the pinfall victory. Finish came at the end of a smartly wrestled match that saw Page attack White's ankle from the start and continuously work over it. White conversely targets opponent's knee. After the match, an enraged Page attacked White and added a hard right hand to Chris Daniels as the commentary team questioned what the latest loss would mean to his psyche. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on the latest chapter of Adam Page's descent into madness.
That's a perfect way to describe that, really, isn't it? I mean, I'm quite frustrated that I didn't see this coming. You know, I thought it was going to kind of be like an even out and just get sort of Hangman the win over it. But is it sickening for me to actually say I'm kind of loving this slow spiral into chaos that Hangman Page is becoming. His like character evolution has just been incredibly entertaining so far. And I just can't even begin to imagine where the story is going to go for him. You know, he loses here, yet still has the audacity to believe that he needs to become the next champion, like the next AEW champion. It's kind of like this character that he's developed over time, ever since kind of working with Swerve. It's just been brilliant to watch, and this is what Hangman is, a character that really has done well to like keep people's interest, and it's because of, you know, character development like this done well. This also gives me a little bit of hope because, you know, again, I talked earlier about the women's division and how their sort of returns have been quite lackluster so far, or entrances into AEW. Jay White is another sort of wrestler in which I feel kind of had a quite a stifled start within the AEW his tenure there. But I think that slowly but surely he's finding his own confidence, being within more of an American audience, you know, coming from New Japan, but also just being able to sort of like start winning the crowd over, so to speak, you know? So I think that even though I'm disappointed that I did not see this coming and get the answer right, so I'm quite frustrated in that sense. I actually thought this was a really great match because of, again, it left me with bigger questions to what Hangman's going to do next, where Jay is going to go from here, and if he will continuously get pushed. Like, you know, I started getting very excited at the prospect of seeing Jay White versus John Mox, you know? So I think there's exciting things for both these men as a result of like this continuous work they've done together, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but this is the thing as well, isn't it? You know, and we talk about, we know how good Jay White is. We've mentioned before, so maybe the AEW audience not sure. So 2 wins back to back over Adam Page on pay-per-view kind of shows what they mean by that.
Exactly. It does get the mind thinking about, you know, potential matches with, like I said, like John Moxley, and just thinking whether or not like Jay could actually even do it like that. And with the right continuous booking, you know, like you could see that at some point towards the end of next year. You never know, like if it's done well. So I just think that, you know, Hangman and Jay have worked really well together so far. And yeah, I excuse me, I enjoyed this match. I give it a 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah, I mean, Monty, we've watched a lot of wrestling. All of us together have. But have you seen anybody with a better crazy look than Adam Page? I mean, I truly believe something has snapped inside of him. I mean, this generation, definitely. I mean, Ken Shamrock, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who I compare it to. Like you just mentioned, off the top of my head, I just, yeah, I think you're 100% right. But honestly, Hangman is my favorite AEW wrestler. I've said that a billion times. He's the person, you know, outside of maybe like a Moxley, that at the end of the day, I'm always looking forward to what story he's telling. And even when you go back to when when he was not so sure about with the Elite, and he was going between the Elite and the Dark Order, he played that character to a T. You know, when he was AEW's hero and just you know, cowboy shit and all that, he had that going. He was great at that. And I think, like you mentioned, the commitment and the unhingedness and just the way he just keeps taking it up a notch. And like you mentioned, when you look at him, you know, of course, the mustache and the look helps all of that too. But I mean, I think that's all a part of it, the commitment. You know, the fact that he kind of always looks bewildered or unkempt to an extent, to kind of associate the fact that he's here, but he's not all there. You know what I mean? And I think He does a great job at that, and that's the one thing about Hangman that when I'm looking back early in his career, I always knew he had it in the ring. He's a guy I've been watching the Ring of Honor. I watched the Ring of Honor too, and a couple of times in New Japan when he was in the Bullet Club back in the day. So I always knew he could do insane stuff. He moonsault off the apron and do weird things that you look at a guy like him, you wouldn't expect it. But he's also hard nosed. But I think what he's gotten the best at since AEW has gotten on television is telling stories, like you mentioned, through his facial expression, through his look. And that's why I think he's one of the best characters in AEW easily, consistently, no matter what side of the fence he's on. And him and Jay White, even when Jay White was a young lion and wasn't really who he is now, they've always had great chemistry. And the fact that Jay White still has the upper hand, I kind of was just playing the numbers game in my mind and thinking, well, no, at some point Hangman is going to win. But I think this is actually genius, having him not pick up the victory and make him go a step over that line, because I think at some point that's where we're heading. He's gonna probably end up trying to hurt or actually hurt Jay White, because that's probably where he's gonna have to go to start to get these victories. Because I think that's one thing about it. He was always good enough to be world champion, but to him to get to the mountain that he wants to get to, how he wants to get to it, he's probably gonna have to leave a trail of bodies in this current form that he's in. And I like that. And I hope at some point that's the realization that he have. And if he do gets his way back to the world title, he gets his way back through just beating the hell out of people and just rampaging. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But I do think this is one of those times where I'm okay with being wrong, because it was almost a genius way to do it, because he had the match won, and Jay White still. And by the way, Jay White, even in the New Japan, he has the perfect finisher to kind of snake away victories. Like the Blade Runner is such a perfect way to get the advantage quickly. And you know how much I love and how highly I think of Jay White. So I'm very excited that these two guys, seemingly that we're going to continue this in some way. And even if we don't continue it with a straight up match, we're definitely continuing the descent to madness that we know Hangman is going through right now. And that's exciting.
Yeah, and I think another thing as well, and Gina, this is important because we're hearing about a new AEW and all this kind of stuff, but with both of these guys, we know the main event talent. They've got no connection with WWE, and like we talk about, we look at Adam Page as like Mr. AEW, and of course Jay White as a true Bullet Club leader. This should be the future of the heavyweight division,
Yeah, for sure. And I think like them, doing this kind of storyline and feud between Hangman and Jay is going to really help to show just everyone why Jay will be put up on that pedestal and put up there at some point. Because again, the four of us have at least seen Jay be up there in the New Japan sort of story world. So bringing that across over to here, I'm really excited for that. I love the whole descent of Hangman. I think it's shocking to see, but also really fun because you don't know what to expect next. Like 1 minute he's just blowing up on Dynamite, next thing you know he's walking through Collision just punching people. So like Monty said, he's just going to be leaving bodies in his wake the madder he gets. So I'm again, this is showing you that storylines can go on for a long time and not necessarily be linked to the same feud. It sticks to the actual character itself, and you can continue it on like without being revolved around a belt as well, and just have people invested. And that's what, again, Monty's explaining how great Hangman is, because everyone's just captivated by him, whether he's in a title run or not. He tells a story and we're always invested.
And let's not forget Adam Page is this generation's Kane now with the fire play. He's got that down. I'm expecting, we're going to see a lot more, maybe run into the ring with, just the kind of, I don't know, flame pro or something like that. We've seen that before in AEW, haven't we? Gina, what would you score this match?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4.5.
4.5, Monty?
Yeah, 4.25.
Yeah, and I'm going to give it a 4.25 as well. Predictions went Hangman, so we're all wrong, so we're still on 6. And then we got Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. I mean, to be fair, if you had Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay stealing the show at the pay-per-view, then well done. Give yourself a little clap, you know. This is one of the best matches that we've seen in a very long time. There's no doubt about that. Fletcher absorbed everything Ospreay threw at him, an emotionally fueled grudge match to fight out a Tiger Driver 96 attempt on the ring apron, counter it, and drive his men into the steel ring steps with a tombstone pile driver. From there, the former half Aussie Open fought through every last gasp attempt at a comeback and delivered a brainbuster on the ring ropes for the biggest win of his career. Monty, what are your thoughts on this? And I'm sure you'd just be like, I've seen this before.
Maybe from the Will Ospreay point of view, but the interesting thing is Kyle Fletcher, from a one-on-one perspective, this is my first time just watching him let it all out and just really showcase what he can do, especially also as a heel. So, I've watched him in Aussie Open be great. And if it was one thing I always took note of when I got introduced to Aussie Open through the United Empire, was that, he had the potential. He was young, he was very young, and everybody who talked about him just would talk about his potential and where he could be in a few years. But after coming to AEW and signing the guaranteed contract, and the injury to Davis, and just kind of having to go out there and do your own thing, and take it, doing it in Ring of Honor, he has just improved leaps and bounds as a character. His physique is incredible. He's on fire as a professional wrestler. So for Will Ospreay to get in there in the ring and kind of do that formula, I'm one of those guys who wasn't sure. I'll admit it. As much as I knew Will Ospreay has the case and might be one of the greatest wrestlers of the last 10 years, if not the greatest wrestler of the last 10 years, I did not think that you could do his style on a week-to-week basis in AEW. And then you already noticed, he's not wrestling these matches every week, because you can't do it. But the way they've found an interesting way to allow him to still be able to do that on every other week or so, and then also tell stories with a guy like Kyle Fletcher, and then for them to be smart enough to know, because my whole thing going into this was that if you let Ospreay just take him out after his turn, was that I felt like we already know Ospreay is the best in the world. He does not need to destroy his underling or former underling to prove that point. But what we do need out of this to make this worthwhile to me would be Kyle Fletcher to make his name and also be able to pin his former mentor and roommate and somebody he's learned so much from. And I think as someone who's always, I would like be the first to admit it, I'm spoiled. I've pretty much seen everything Ospreay could do and everything he's capable of, but somehow he still goes out there and just gives you some of the best wrestling consistently that you can possibly do at his level. It's just insane to me how his body and how his mind holds up and how he's able to do this. And but that's just the Ospreay experience, and the fact that now he's kind of, in my opinion, helped establish Kyle Fletcher as one of those guys too that you just mentioned Jay White and Hangman being the main event future, but Kyle Fletcher is so young, he could be the main event future. He could be the mid card future. He could be the whatever future you want in AEW, WWE, wherever he wants to do with the rest of his career. He has it all in front of him for him to already have a lot of this figured out and to be this damn good, literally in his mid-20s. I'm a big Kyle Fletcher fan, and this match really made me be an even bigger one. And he went out there and he did. This is what you want if you're gonna do one of these type of usurp the master type of storylines. I feel like this is the type of result you're looking for. Now, everybody can't do it and do it to this level, of course, but for them to not only tell the story, but also go out there and just give you a very compelling contest, you can't ask for more from this angle, man.
No, I think without doubt. Gene, there's not really much else to say after that because just how good it was. But the match itself, but as Monty said, Will Ospreay is such a great wrestler that ego aside, this is Carl Fletcher's coming out party, and he helped him with that. I mean, I know we've seen in the past, like, you know, Daniel Garcia beating like Bryan Danielson and stuff, but you feel at this point, this pay-per-view really was kind of the starting point for Carl Fletcher.
Definitely. And I kind of like feel like there was a sense of respect in the sense of, you know, Will Ospreay was happy to kind of help put over his friends, his longtime friends like this. And well, not necessarily put him over, he gave him a hell of a battle, you know, but I think they have such good chemistry from being so close for so many years, you know. And yeah, like you said, it's kind of like a coming out party for Kyle. And I think it was the right choice as well in having him win this match, because if he lost it, then it kind of would have made his whole heel turn and signing with Don Callis redundant. And it kind of would have ruined his character. I would have looked at him more as a joke, but the match was just so awesome. All of us talking about it is not going to do it justice. So if you're going to watch any match on this match card, it would be this one.
Well, Jackson, you've heard Monty and Gina congratulate themselves. I mean, why'd you go Ospreay for, huh? Why'd you do it?
Do you know what? For some reason, I just kind of had this feeling like this was all sort of part of both Ospreay and Carl Fletcher's plans, and they were going to turn on, you know, Don together. I don't know. I wanted to believe. I'm so mad. That's it. I think I think what you said is correct. And yeah, the match itself was just great. I'm just kind of frustrated with myself now, for not being able to like foresee this, you know?
Yeah, you really should see it coming, you know? I mean,
Shut up,
like
James.
this, I mean, come on. There's a big match feel as well as Ospreay wore gear inspired by the Punisher, while Fletcher enjoyed the star-making entrance complete with a crown and proto-star graphics. Monty, what would you give it out of 5?
I give it 5 stars. I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe if it was a title match, you could say it could be bigger, but honestly, just from the execution of the story and then what they did in the ring, I don't know how you can give it less.
Gina?
Yeah, this is 5 stars from me.
And Jaxie?
Yeah, I gave this 4 3/4.
Oh, 4 3/4. So predictions. I can't believe you got the Ospreay one. Unbelievable predictions. Gina, Monty went Fletcher, Jaxie, and I went for Ospreay as well, but it doesn't matter. Monty, Gina on 7, Jaxie, James on 6. As we get the champagne celebration, with Mina Shagawa referred to AEW Women's World Champion Ray as the love of her life at the start of the celebration. By the end, she stood over the fallen body of a former friend, screaming out of pure rage as a shocking betrayal she had endured moments earlier, with May grabbing the champagne bottle and swinging it. Mina, who ducked and kicked out of her hand and then speared her off the stage through a table below. I mean, Gina, I weren't sure what to expect, but I mean, pretty good fucking segment overall.
Yeah, I mean, I am biased because I'm kind of in love with Mariah May. But I'm also a little bit confused on why she's turning on her friend like this. So I was a little bit like, girl, to be honest, you're going to need friends. Why are you getting rid of your closest one? Seriously. But I'm also biased because I'm in love with her. So I'm always going to be on side Mariah. You know, if she wants to do that, then I'm going to support her. So I kind of felt a bit torn because I really love Mina and she's just so cute and bubbly. I love her character. And I do look forward to seeing this little feud between her and Mariah. But again, I am a little bit heartbroken because I really like their friendship too.
Yeah, it's a shame. But again, we're hopefully... I mean, annoyingly, they've announced a match for Winter is Coming, which I still think... I mean, Jaxie, I don't want to send you off a tangent. But again, it's a big match, but I feel it's pay-per-view worthy, if you know what I mean. But again, Winter's Coming, maybe it will lead.
It could, like, it has the potential to main event, doesn't it? But it's just yeah, I would have thought that would have been on like a pay-per-view event, to be honest, because they've had so much of a build-up of Mina joining AEW when she's been asked for by Mariah for weeks on end as it is, you know. So I think this was a little soon to already be doing this. But I'm not surprised because Mariah seems like a toxic person where, if she loves you, she like really loves you. Like, I don't know if anyone watches My Hero Academia, but there's a character called Toga in that, and like whenever she loves someone, she wants to be them physically, and it's like dangerous. And that's the vibe I get with Mariah May. Like, it's dangerous to be loved by her or hated by her. You're just screwed either way. So like, this is kind of where things have gotten for me now at this point. So it's an interesting segment, one that I'm interested to see where things go. I was hoping that there was going to be a Tony Storm, like a potential return, but we can only hope.
Yeah, well, I think Monty. I don't know about you, but this might lead into, like I said, Tony Storm, because if what the Australian show in February, and then the feud wraps up by then, maybe.
Yeah, most likely. Most likely going to lead to something, in my opinion, with Tony. But these shows long enough, man. Just give me this on the go home Dynamite and give me a damn match. Like, I'm just sick of this, bro.
No,
like I'm sick of the way Mariah May's reign has gone, because I feel like it could be so much more than it has been. Like, that's why I mentioned, like, are you going to give other people Mercedes match time and story length? Like, are you going to give them that focus? Because Mariah could have had a title match here. That's just the way I feel about it. Because when I'm watching a pay-per-view, I don't really care to have a storyline segment dead in the right before the last part of the last few matches of the pay-per-view. I just felt like it kind of took the momentum of the show. And I get it. After the match we just seen, you kind of just want to do something, but like, we still got 4 matches left, Tony. It's goddamn 10 o'clock where I'm at. Bro, come on. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I couldn't get invested in this, especially when I kind of knew the turn was coming. So as much as I love both of these women, and I think they're excellent, and the match is going to be great, they have excellent chemistry, and I think everything you guys have been mentioned already is great. I really wanted this segment to end as soon as it started.
Well, Monty wants a match. We'll give him one. TNT Championship, Daniel Garcia versus Jack Perry. It was a very interesting laid-out match, and that Perry dominated early and often, just completely outclassing Garcia for the majority of the first half of the contest. When the challenger finally fired up, mounted his comeback, the crowd woke up and got into the action, sporting the Buffalo Natives' quest for gold. After frustrating Perry with resilience and ability to kick out everything the champion dished out, Garcia fired up one last time, caught his opponent's leg and applied a sharpshooter. He upped the torque, sat back, and forced the submission for the win. Your new TNT champion is Daniel Garcia. Jack C., what were your thoughts on this?
Sorry, which one?
Garcia Perry.
This match went hard. I was not expecting to actually be so invested in sort of the outcome of this match. I really enjoyed it. I think that this was a great showcase of both young talent that will, eventually be leading those locker rooms. This was the perfect showcase of like 2 hungry young men who really have only just started to make a name for themselves within this company, and they're doing it the right way. I think they both worked well together. There were such highlight moments for both of them. And Jack Perry got his ass kicked, which he rightly deserved. So I really enjoyed this match. I thought they both did really, really great.
Monty, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't bad either. I think it was kind of like right in that in between. I gave it like 3 3/4. I thought it kind of dragged at points. I thought maybe a little bit too long, but it was still good. And like Jackson mentioned, Jack Perry kind of got a little bit of comeuppance. But I felt like going into this match, if you don't pull the trigger on Garcia now, then Tony will never pull the trigger on Garcia. So it was great to see him finally achieve, winning a championship like that and doing it, and Tony finally believing in him, or finally understanding that he's in AEW. That's your guy. He's already signed back. We got the championship. So, let's start kind of like you mentioned earlier, James, him beating Bryan Daniels. And now let's kind of start to fulfill that potential that I think a lot of us know he's had pretty much since that moment when he beat Danielson back in the day. So that was so long ago. So it's kind of crazy when I think about the ups and downs of Daniel Garcia. But it was great to watch him pick up the victory. And with the Young Bucks gone too, I wonder what's next for Jack Perry. What do you do? Where do you go? I saw some differing opinions. Meanwhile, I thought the Scapegoat did great for his character, but like now it's interesting. Where do you go from here? Because I don't really think the Scapegoat. I don't think he needs to be that character anymore now. I mean, we're over it. Punk has been in WWE for like a year now. Like I said, the elite, and as we knew it at that with the Bucks and him, are not really, they're separate right now. With the Bucks getting ready for what they're gonna do in Japan, or at least from what I saw that they're doing something in Japan, in New Japan coming up next year. So we'll see how things go for Jack Perry, but. This was solid. I didn't think it was bad, and congrats to Garcia, man. He deserves it.
Yeah, well, we saw Garcia's mum preceding his entrance as well. And again, like I said, if I'm not going to do it tonight, it's pretty harsh. But I think, Gina, a bit of a shame, because AEW papers are so crammed together, the post-match celebration was just cut short, and we kind of just moved on. It's like, but I think Garcia deserved a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure, especially because it's felt like an uphill battle for Garcia to even get this far. So it just felt like, yeah, okay, you got the belt, move on, next. We haven't got time. That's how it felt. And it, is a bit lackluster for the achievement, I feel, that Garcia, got to and smashed through. And it was just like, yeah, well done. Okay, can you get out the ring, please? Because we really need to set up for the next match. That's how it felt. I'm happy for him, for sure.
Yeah, you went Jack Perry low in this one, which is a bit surprising.
I did. Do you know what? I think I've said this once before on the pod, and I will say it again. I think I was thinking with my dick when I made this choice. Yeah. I think, Jack Perry was becoming a bit of a dribble fest, and so I just went with him. So that's my only excuse. That's all I got.
Dribble and dick all in the same sentence. We love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you score out of 5, Gina?
Oh, I would give this a 4 3/4. It was a great match, and I thought it was so good to showcase Daniel Garcia. And like I said, I feel like he really got through an uphill battle to win this belt. So yeah, I'll give it 4 3/4.
Wow, Jaxie?
Yeah, this got 4 3/4 for me. This is a great match.
Wow. I think it's one of the first matches I felt like, I think you guys watched different matches than I did. I might enjoyed it more. I don't know, but I'm going to give it 3 3/4. Like I said, I thought it was all right. It was all right. Predictions, all Garcia apart from Gina went Perry. Just mention that again, sorry. Monty on 8, Jaxie, Gina and James on 7. Up next, AEW International Championship, Ricochet versus Takeshita. And Takeshita successfully retained the title over Ricochet in a match that never lived up to its potential. I mean, it was competitive. There were some quality spots along the way, but it felt longer than it needed to be and didn't necessarily play to the strengths of either man. I mean, I like Ricochet. Do Ricochet stuff, mate. Late in the match, we're both exhausted. Takeshita delivered a power driver knee and an avalanche Falcon Arrow for the pinfall victory. Monty, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, James, I tried not. I hope I didn't ruin your thought process.
Well, you didn't raise my expectations, yeah.
But I definitely told you though. I don't know how you have a match with Takeshita that's just not that interesting. To me, it just wasn't that interesting. And I'm not trying to say it was bad. It was obviously still good, still had great moments. But maybe it's me. Maybe I came into this expecting this to be the Fletcher Ospreay type of match instead of just the Fletcher Ospreay match. I expected this one to be of that caliber, and it just wasn't to me. And maybe that's on me for expecting a little bit too much But I think, again, like you mentioned, James, Ricochet, you're Ricochet. You don't have to go out here and do anything else, especially with a guy like Takeshita who would blend in well with that flashier style, because not only can he do a little bit of flash, he's so damn strong. He has the technical expertise. And I think that it would have fared better for him if he just kind of do what he usually do. And I don't think this was bad. I thought it was like a little bit better than what Jack and Garcia did. It like, that's why I said 3-3. But in this one, I gave this one like 4. I thought it was good, but when you see Takeshita versus Ricochet on paper, man, you're expecting one of the best matches you've ever seen. And again, I'm not trying to say this is Ricochet in AEW and this is what you're going to get from him going forward, and he's not good anymore. Like, I know some people online have some of them may just be bitter that he left WWE, and that's why they talk about him and act like he's just horrible now. But I just believe that in AEW, Ricochet, we all knew what Ricochet brings to the table as a wrestler. We know he's really good. We know he's one of the best. We know he's capable of doing things that we don't see often. But I do think in a place like AEW, when you're a couple matches behind what Ospreay just did, it's kind of weird to see you go out there and kind of have a disjointed match with a guy with the talent of a Takeshita. But, who knows? Maybe we'll see them fight again down the line at some point, and it could be way better. But, yeah, man, I thought it was good, but definitely, like you mentioned, James, again, maybe it's a case of expectations, but definitely was expecting better.
No, without doubt. I mean, it might be other things as well for the matchup. I mean, Gina, I don't know what your thoughts on it. You might have loved it, but I mean, this might be the dead spot in the card, because usually a TBS title match would be here, as we've seen in previous pay-per-views. And with that switch round, we saw how good the TBS title match was and reaction was, maybe compared to this one. Would that be fair, Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a fair assumption. I think what Monty said was on point as well.
Yeah, I mean, does Ricochet need a new character?
I don't know if it's a new character that's needed. Like, the thing is, his character is great. He's great in the ring. He's great at showcasing himself. But I don't know if it's like the taint of WWE of him being like a mid-carder, that he still feels like that in a way. I don't know. I don't know what would be different here. I mean, I don't think, you should put him in a wig of dreadlocks and completely try to change it up in that sense. But
I want to see that.
Just make it white dreadlocks and give him a Game of Thrones character. Go for it. Yeah, no, it's very difficult to know what would be the best way to go for Ricochet from here, because I don't necessarily think a heel turn would help. I think he's too cheesy to be a heel in a way. So yeah, I don't know what will help, but they do need him to not really take that many L's for him to not become just the mid-carder he was in WWE,
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, it's the interesting thing is we did the New Japan catch-up, and Ricochet shows up and challenges, like I said, Zack Sabre Jr., the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, for a shot, at Wrestle Dynasty next night after Wrestle Kingdom. And then it's like, okay, so what are you going to do with him now? It's like losing Takeshita. I can't understand that, but they're in a difficult situation. I think you're right there. Jaxie, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Because again, maybe the biggest enemy to any wrestling fan is high expectations.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with what Monty said. I feel like I had higher expectations going into this match, and it didn't wow me as much as I expected it to. And I definitely feel like I kind of shouldn't have had such high expectations for them. I don't think it was a bad match, but I mean, I really enjoyed, much more enjoyed sort of like everything that Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia did more than Takeshita and Ricochet. And it's not to say that they didn't do well working together. It just, my expectation level expected more, So, I mean, for me, this was just sort of like a match that could have been on like way earlier on the match card. So yeah, it was kind of uneventful, if that makes sense.
And I think, sorry,
we
that's he said as well.
Yeah, but we know that they both are capable of doing much better. It's just for some reason this didn't really connect. So yeah, this was probably my least favorite match of Takeshita's so far. And I've been a huge fan of his work in everything that he's been doing. So let's hope it was just sort of like a one-off where this was just a bit of a downer one. Not every match is going to be of a high caliber, but maybe round 2 at some point between them will prove to be much better.
Well, like you said, anything after Fletcher and Ospreay is going to be, really looked at. And again, maybe it should have been before it. What would you score the match?
I'm going to give this one a 3 3/4.
3 3/4. Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still happy that Takeshita won and got the win. I think he still needs more wins behind having the belt, to have an actual decent run. So for me, I actually will give this a 4. I do hope to see a part 2 between these two, and I do hope that it will feel more hyped. But I think, like you said, because it followed the Fletcher and Ospreay match, I think that didn't help.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I'm going to give it 4 predictions. We went to Takeshita. Samonti's on 9, the rest is on 8. And we got Swerve Strickland versus Bobby Lashley next. And Lashley dominated early on, but Strickland, as he has numerous times in his run with the company, fought from underneath, took the fight to his opponent. He drove Lashley through the announce table in a fucking fantastic spot. I don't care if Bobby jumped. It looked great, all right? Lashley fended off his opponent, trapped him in a hurt lock, and scored a victory via referee stoppage. They rolled Prince Nana in the ring afterwards. Lashley applied another hurt lock, much to the dismay of the fans. That is how you do it, Gina. That is how you do it. We love Swerve, but that is Lashley.
Yeah, definitely. This was perfect, beginning to end. And I don't think it hurt Swerve in the slightest to take this L, but because he also just looked like a monster that wasn't wanting to give up in this match either. So I think it was a perfect ending to just, put him out because he wasn't going to tap or anything, but still, honestly, what a match. I thought it was so good. This is the way that you need Bobby to be shown and showcased, and this is the way he needs to look going forward. It broke my heart at the end seeing them, bash on Nana, and you could see Swerve was holding Bobby's leg to stop him from hurting Nana, and that's what you like at the end of a pay-per-view as well, because it's kind of still left on a cliffhanger. Is Swerve still going to come back again for more vengeance? What's going to happen next show? This is what you want from the ending of a pay-per-view. And yeah, it was just brilliant beginning to end.
Yeah, really, really good. The debut Bobby needed. But speaking of Swerve as well, I mean, Swerve's entrant mask and gear featured a picture of him from last year's Full Gear, where he began his rise in one of the best matches of 2023 against Hangman Page. And Jaxie, we forget just how far Swerve has come. We talk about talent making the most of their minutes, wherever it is, and Swerve has gone from a kind of forgotten guy to just, the guy in AEW, really.
Exactly. I mean, you even heard the pop the minute his music hit, and the amount of chants continuously calling for him, whose house, Swerve's house, it's not getting old, and that is because he really has worked so hard and captured the audience so well. This was an excellent match, as you both have rightly pointed out. And yeah, James, I don't care if Bobby jumped. That move looked incredible. It went hard. I really enjoyed it, and I got a big pop out of it. So if you guys didn't like it, then why are you watching this? Go away. You see other stuff like that happen in WWE all the time. We will discuss Survivor Series next week, and you will probably hear more of that. But when it works, and it looks good, and that looks good to me. These two worked well together, and just like my sister said, I'm already there's got to be retribution. What's next for Swerve? Is Bobby going to just continuously dominate, take gold, kick ass? Who's next to join the Hurt Syndicate? There's all these questions that are coming out of this newly formed group from Bobby's entrance, and this is exactly how you market him. So I'm excited to see where things go for all these men that have been involved, and can't wait to see sort of like the next like sort of aftermath segments.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Monty, again, not really much to add there. I'm going to get your thoughts, obviously. JR joined commentary, and he didn't say it on commentary, but I don't know if this was the first meeting between the two, or, maybe they've met before, but just not on TV. But I felt, that it felt big because I've never really seen this type, these two guys go at it before.
Yeah, I don't think they ever fought. I mean, if they did, I guess it was like an Impact type of thing. But I don't think they've ever fought. But yeah, this was good. I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, Lashley looked like a monster, and that's like you guys mentioned multiple times. That's the best way to depict him and Swerve, even with the size difference. Or whatever. Swerve did not look out of place. He didn't look like he didn't have a chance. He fought hard. And, again, I mean, not too many people match up physically well with Lashley anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But he still, in my opinion, looked really good in this attempt to kind of try to fend Lashley off. And I think we're going to get a rematch eventually. I mean, I don't think you can leave Nana like that and do what you do what was done here, and this is over. I think we're obviously going to get another chapter of this, not only feud, but also, another Swerve Lashley. And as much as I am interested in who's next to join the Hurt Syndicate, I'm also interested to see do Swerve have any friends, because we talk about Hangman and just how his descent, but Swerve had to go to a couple places, go to a dark place to kind of get where he got to, and I know, unfortunately, I've read reports that a guy like Keith Lee's health has not really improved. I don't know how true any of that is, but it would have been nice to get to possibly have the potential to have him show up and kind of play in between game here, because he could definitely go back to Swerve and be his friend again, but he also could, screw Swerve because Swerve kind of left him in the dust. That was kind of my thinking, but after reading that he's kind of still dealing with things, and that just sucks because he could really be a bright spot, not only for AEW, but just in wrestling. Keith Lee could be that. So, but I'm interested to see what does Swerve do. Who can be his friend? Where does he decide to go? Does he reach out to a private party? Does he who could it be that you could try to get some type of help with the numbers game here? And even if you don't do that, like you said, how couldn't you overcome a guy like Bobby Lashley? So, yeah, this is very interesting. One of the most interesting storylines they have going. And I thought both guys performed really well here. I didn't think you could – I didn't have any complaints. I didn't think it was like a Matt classic, but I also didn't expect it. But I also thought they told a good story. So I gave it 3 3/4.
3 3/4. Gina, what would you score it?
I give it a 4.
Give it a 4. And Jaxie?
I really enjoyed this match. I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, I gave it 4 1/4. I thought this was fucking great as well. I mean, again, it didn't need to be 25 minutes to make its point. Like you said, 10, 12 minutes to get the job done and continue it on. And actually make you want more of the feud as well. Predictions, I went Bobby. So Monty on 10, the rest on 9. And the main event, the AEW World Championship, Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley. Cassidy started hot, rocking Moxley with 3 orange punches, but the champion slowed his momentum and seized control of the match, beating the challenger into a crimson mask and controlling the pace. Freshly Squeezed fought back late, capitalising his friends, taking out Claudio, Pac, and Marina Shafir at ringside. Looking like it might do the unthinkable by defeating Moxley. Willow got a huge pop as well as she came out. And one last bit of interference from Wheeler Yuta on behalf of the champion, fought with his championship dreams, and Moxley retained. After the match, the Death Riders attempt to poison Cassidy with cleaning solution because this is AEW. Hangman Page made the save. Christian Cage sees cashing his title opportunity. Jay White stopped that from happening, and the Hills rushed out the arena, only to be nearly struck by Darby Allin, who wrecked his car into the pickup. I don't know if we had enough going on there. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on the matchup and I guess the post-match shenanigans?
Yeah, I mean, this was chaos right from the get-go, but what did you expect when you had it, like when John Mox was involved, you know? Um, this was chaos, and do you know what? For once, like OC just really impressed me, like in his tenacity and the way that he was able to just really take a lot of what Mox threw at him, and Mox went hard, but he went just as hard. So I've got to give him credit because I think he kind of won a lot of people over with like his tactics and how well he held out in the ring. Yeah, I definitely like lost my shit here seeing Willow come out. I was screaming like, get her, girl. Honestly, that was like one of the highlights for me. But yeah, ultimately, I thought this match was really good. I think that OC really does have the potential to be a brilliant champion and win the hearts of the crowd. But this is not the time yet. Like, this is the time of Mox and the Death Riders, So we'll see where things go from here. But the way they ended it was chaos in a good sense. Like, I'm eager and excited to see like who are going to take down the Death Riders. Like, when is everyone just going to say enough is enough and like everyone band together? So it left things in an exciting place.
No doubt. And Gina, I have to ask you this: has this matchup and feud changed your opinion on Orange Cassidy? Because you did call him, and I quote, a one-trick pony.
Okay, yeah, I will say. I said to Jax, James is going to ask me about this. So I knew this question was coming. And do you know what? It's funny because during the match, I turned around to Jax and I said, okay, do you know what? I'm watching this match and I'm kind of like understanding James's perspective and his point of views of Orange Cassidy. I will admit this match has changed my mind and my perspective on him being a one-trick pony. I was very impressed. So yes, I've gone back on my word. I've changed my mind about him, and I think he was very decent. I think it was a great match, but I did think in the end, Mox was still going to be the one to win this, not just because he only still recently just got the belt, but more a case of there's too many people behind him now. It was going to be kind of impossible for Orange Cassidy to get that one up.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there was a lot going on as well. And for the matchup, the fingernails down the back was one of the best things. It just shows kind of how graphic Moxley wanted to become. But I think the big thing at Monty, I mean, the match was good, but I don't know if I care enough about the permutations afterwards. I don't know if I just want a guy to be like, Mox, you and me right now, rather than what we're seeing. Because again, with Adam Page showing up and all this, I'm just like, why is he showing up for? I'm a bit confused. Like,
it was very confused. There were so many people like that were getting in the ring, and I was like, wait, who's fighting for the title? Because everyone's like fighting everyone, and I'm like, does anyone actually care about the belt, or are they just coming in for screen time now? Like, it just kind of went off the rails a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, was Hangman being a face out here, or was he still being a heel? Because I don't really get it. Because he was going against Christian, so that made him kind of look like the face. Because everyone fucking hates Christian. Like, so yeah, mass confusion.
Yeah. Well, there's only one man can answer it. Monty, I mean, surely you know what's going on here with Christian Cage trying to, cash in. I suppose they can't call it that, or Adam Page, and I mean Jay White showing up kind of made sense.
Yeah, Jay White showing up probably made the most because he got problem with both people. Both people there. I was confused too, but kind of once Christian and Hangman seemed to be having an understanding. It seemed like they came to an understanding. I was wondering, like, when the hell did they come to an understanding? Like, when did they get on the same page? Like, I didn't know. Like, I know they both had a problem with Jay White, and I get it, but yeah, I didn't know what was going on in that regard. But I do kind of, I again, it's been just this entire feud when it comes to what Moxley has going on is just anarchy and just all about kind of like, making AEW kind of stand up to him and his crew. and that's fine. But like you mentioned, James, I think sometimes it's okay. It's okay, in my opinion, to just end the show on a good challenge or end the show on a proper tease of Christian, like just doing it instead of actually doing all of that and kind of like you mentioned, leaving us on a kind of confused note. But it is what it is. Like you mentioned, I thought the match was good. I love Orange Cassidy. I loved him when he was defending his title every week, and I love him when he's showing fire and what he's trying to do. I think not to anybody's fault, but probably my own memory. I do think that my memory of this entire back and forth between Moxley and Orange Cassidy, meaning every match they've ever had in AEW, it's kind of been the same. Like he's always been the underdog fighting from underneath, and he's just not good enough yet. And I think at least in this match, you kind of saw the physicality finally be returned from Orange Cassidy. Because I remember last year when I thought Orange Cassidy was going to win a big match against Moxley, and Moxley just mauled him, And so to kind of be back watching them in this main event for me was kind of like deja vu-ish, but it still ended up being a good match, and I thought they did a good job. And like you said, the whole entire kerfuffle or whatever they were trying to do after the match, as confusing as it was, it did make you want to wonder. Did make you didn't look away. It wasn't boring, so I'll give it that. But sometimes I just think Tony have a bunch of ideas, and he just, you know what? Instead of doing them 1 week at a time or doing them over, he just said, you know what? Let's do all of this shit I just threw at the wall, right? And let's see what sticks and what people want to see. You know what I mean? We need a woman to go in Marina. You know what? Willow, go out there. The people will get a kick out of that. We need this. We need that. Hey, man, you want the world title? Let's just have you're so disillusioned with reality at this point. Let's just have you getting in people's business. And Jay White, we got to get you out there too, because Hangman is there, and Christian, he is the guy with the briefcase. And yes, I forgot the Death Riders. Yes, the Death Riders. The first word is death in that group. We need to try to kill someone. Don't forget about that, guys. You have to try to do that after every match, because beating the hell out of people during the match is not enough for this version of Moxley. So, yeah, I just feel like sometimes he just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and instead of just doing one of those things to end the show, he decide, let's just do all of them, and we'll work from there on the next Dynamite. So, yeah, good show, good ending and a good match and good showing from the champion and the challenger. But yeah, man, what a mix up at the end there. But at this point, I mean, this is the same show where we watch somebody almost get asphyxiated, and like they love ending their shows on just confusing tones, in my opinion. AEW at this stage just love confusing the hell out of you.
All right, so scores for the main event then. Jaxie, what are you going to give it?
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 4 3/4. I thought it was good as well.
4 3/4. Gina?
Same 4 3/4.
4 3/4. Monty?
I'll give it a 4.
I'll give it a 4 1/4. Predictions, final scores, Monty on 11, the rest on 10. He doesn't even like AEW's bollocks. So it means Monty joins Jaxie on 4 points, but it's not over because we, of course, have World's End. So anything can happen. Anything can still happen. I could still join Jaxie and Monty and have a three-way tie. They don't want it, but it could happen. So who knows, hey? But Monty, again, congratulations. Another AEW win. I don't know how you fluked it.
Me either, man. Me either. Sometimes just everything just goes in your favor. That's the only thing I can say about that. Yeah, I mean, I bet against Ospreay and won. It's like, come on, how many times do you do that? And and if I would have just, I don't know. I think we all picked Jay to lose. So, I wanted that perfect, because why not? But hey, I'll take the W.
Yeah, well done. So, match of the night. Well, Jaxie, you've got, I think, 3 matches, 4 3/4. So, what is your match of the night, Jax?
Which matches are those?
You have picked the main event, Garcia versus Perry and Fletcher versus Ospreay. See why I take notes.
I'll go Fletcher Ospreay.
Fletcher.
Match
Okay,
of the
so
night.
we're all going Fletcher Ospreay for match of the night. Then that's fair enough. Gina, start us off then. MVP and score out of 10.
MVP I'm going to give to Bobby Lashley just because I gave Fletcher and Ospreay the match of the night. So I'll give MVP to Bobby Lashley because it was a wicked pay-per-view first match for him, and both him and Swerve still look great coming out of it. And I really enjoyed the show. There were some really good matches on here, so I'll give it 8.5.
8.5. Jaxie, MVP and rating, please.
I too am going Bobby. I think this is a great start for him in AEW. And I really enjoyed their match as well. So I'm going to go Bobby for the MVP. And I'll give it an 8 overall.
Give it an 8 overall. And Monty, finally, MVP and rating to you.
Kyle Fletcher, and Mercedes, and 7 and 3/4 overall. Good show.
Yeah, no, it was alright, wasn't it? It's just the problem is it feels like you start watching the same AEW show every month because the way it's formatted and everything like this is kind of the same thing. I know we are getting story developments, but again, it wouldn't hurt to cut an hour out. I'm just saying, it wouldn't hurt.
Oh, it'd be great. It'll be awesome. As someone who watches it live, man, it'd be awesome.
I was going to say, you watch it live. I mean, I think I cut out at the Fletcher Ospreay match and then picked up next day, if you know what I mean. But not everybody is as lonely as I am. So I'm going to go 8.25. And my MVP is Daniel Garcia and Chris Statlander. Dynamite notes. Well, the Continental Classic starts, and we'll cover that next time when the world ends. So that's basically it. I'll just go around quickly. Jackson, anything else you want to add before we end, even?
Not really. I'm really hoping that I can actually kind of come out on top and pick up a clean sweep for the final one to kind of put me over the top. But I've done so well with AEW and awful at WWE, so I've got to think positively going into the final pay-per-view for the year.
Gina, do you think the next time we talk about AEW, we might have a Ricky Starks sighting?
Who knows? We may do. He's coming out of the woodwork a little bit, so we hopefully will have a thirsty Gina on the next pod. Well, do you know what? I'm thirsty all the time, so
you're gonna be,
there's no difference. There will be no difference. Yeah.
Thirstier. That will be that. Yeah. No, but again,
yeah.
It's great.
That.
And Monty, like I said, another win on AEW. I mean, it's nearly done now. The year's nearly ended. You know what I mean? Like, we are so close. We are so close. Can you still throw it all away?
And we'll see. We'll see. That's based on how Tony feels, in my opinion, not so much how I feel. But what I will say is this: I might be predicting better because Tony is starting to act like a WWE official with the way he's doing Ray Phoenix and Penta. I'll leave it at that.
Well, we'll leave it there. Don't forget, across all social media, I on X, the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod James. Find the entire WNR team on the banner. Also now on Blue Sky, WNR Podcast, and Reddit. Jackson, where can people find and follow you?
You can find me on both Twitch and X at Jackson Scarlett.
Monty?
At my Monty Pod, and you can look me up on Blue Sky, Your Highness. There you go.
Perfect. And Gina?
You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, and X at Purple Pain.
Double on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email at doublepodcast@gmail.com. YouTube podcast. Same time YouTubers do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode is next weekend. It is Survivor Series, our last WWE show. But until then, I've been James Rowlands and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Jaxie, it's great you joining me today. And it's good because we've got the good Jaxie. And then we're going to WWE next week, so the bad Jaxie comes around.
Yeah, you just wait. That will just, come straight out. So we'll see how I get on there. It's been fun.
And of course, the Mind of Monty. And Monty, I know you've enjoyed it. You enjoy spending 2 hours with me every week, don't you?
Yeah, because I'm just good in general at predictions right now.
Fuck you. And the genius of Gina, if anybody can stop him, Gina, it is you. I don't know how you can do it. Maybe go and pay him a visit.
I mean, I'll do my best, but no promises, for sure.
That's all I want. Well, thanks for this, everybody, and bye.